Welcome guys back to the channel. I'm actually here in Cape Town, South Africa. But don't worry guys, still making sure that the videos are coming consistently. That all being said, we have a very cool product that we are going to go over today. And the easiest way to explain it is internal NDs for really any Sony camera that has a Sony E-mount. So I specifically shoot on the Sony FX3, and one of the reasons I was actually looking up this solution was for two specific reasons. Number one, my 16 to 35 millimeter G Master was dropped a few years ago, and at the time I wasn't like super into shooting in S-Log and shooting with ND filters and getting proper exposure. But as that came around, I wasn't able to put on an ND filter on the front of the lens. In addition, I also bought the Sony 14 millimeter G Master, and this thing also does not have filter threads on the front of the lens, which pretty much gave me a few different options. And I was able to come across the brand Kolari. And specifically what these things are they are magnetic clip-in filters that allow you to pretty much put in any filter in front of the sensor before you even put the lens on with a magnetic backing. Now, Kolari actually sent me these products to do a review. They sent me 3 different ND filters. So they sent me 6 stops and also 10 stops. And then I also asked them if they could send me their mist filters, because I'm really big into putting mist filters on my camera, but sometimes it can be an issue if I have an ND filter on the front, because then I would either need to buy a filter that has both ND and mist, or like buy a filter that allows me to put another filter on front of it. So yeah, that can get a little bit annoying. But if you have a internal mist filter like this thing right here, you can just pretty much always be shooting with mist. So yeah, with that all being said, I'm gonna go over how these things actually work and connect to the sensor. And then I'm also going to go over my shooting experience with them over the last month, traveling to Dubai, Singapore, Thailand, and Cape Town. So with further ado, let's get right into how they work. So guys, if you take the lens off of your camera, it's actually pretty simple. You literally are just going to kind of just like put in the top towards the top of an E-mount sensor, and then you just kind of drop it in, and it'll literally just magnetically clip into the camera. And that's literally it. You just put the lens on the E-mount just like any normal lens, and you're pretty much set to go. You have an internal ND on your camera. I would make sure you guys clean the ND filter before you put it on. Just make sure there's no fingerprints or anything like that. And in addition guys, I tried to switch these things out in windy conditions and sandy conditions a few times when I was out in the field, and I wouldn't recommend it because I was getting fingerprints and sand on these things. I would probably say just try to be like an indoor setting, or like in a car or somewhere away where dirt or sand or anything like that could get into the sensor or on to the ND filter. And then when you're shooting, you'll have some spots and issues on the actual image. And then they also send you this little plastic tool, which actually makes it extremely easy to just kind of like get in there, pull the filter out, and you're set. Now, and as I mentioned before in the video guys, this thing doesn't just work for the Sony FX3, it works for any Sony E-mount full frame camera. So that would include the A7 III, the A7S III, the FX3, the A7 IV, the R5, like anything that has an E-mount sensor, you guys can use these things with your camera. Now, I'm not going to do a side-by-side comparison with all the different ND levels or the mist levels, mainly because it's just like any other mist filter that you would put in front of the camera. I personally like the mist effect of 1/4, so I actually did quite a lot of shooting with this in Singapore at night, and guys, I got some amazing shots. You're actually able to see all of the lights from the towers and all the cool structures in Singapore, just kind of giving you a glow effect from that mist filter. And the really cool thing is that I was switching between my 24 to 70 to my 14 millimeter, just back and forth, and I just always had a mist effect going on because it was living in the back of my camera. Which leads me into the next section, which is my experience using these filters. Now guys, there's a lot of upsides to these filters, mainly due to the fact that I know that there's some other solutions in putting like an ND filter or another filter behind the lens, but the fact that these ones are magnetic and the way that they fit made it really easy for me to swap between the different ND levels as well as putting in that mist filter. I was actually using these internal NDs a lot in Dubai because I was testing out this 14 millimeter G Master, and there were multiple occasions where I needed to switch mainly between the 6 stop and the 10 stop. But luckily, if you guys are shooting a wide enough lens and you don't care too much about having the aperture wide open, you can just adjust the aperture without having to constantly switch out the ND filters. So you guys, there's not much more I can talk about other than the fact that, guys, this is literally an internal filter for your Sony E-mount cameras. So if you guys have a lens that doesn't have a filter thread, or you want to have a mist look just like always on your camera, or even if you just want to put a filter in your camera to protect your actual sensor, I highly recommend these filters, guys. Like I said, I've been using them. I reached out to them. They didn't reach out to me because I was interested in using these things for my camera, and they get the job done. So if you guys are interested in picking up one of these filters, I'll put the link down in the description. They also sell a bunch of other filters in addition to just ND filters and mist filters, pretty much any type of filter you can think of. And they also make this same product for other cameras. It doesn't need to be Sony E-mount. I'm pretty sure they have this product for all the other lines of cameras, Canon, Panasonic. And guys, let me know down in the description if this is something that you guys would use on your Sony camera. And if you guys are not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button for camera videos just like this. I talk a lot about all of these Sony cameras, the FX6, FX30, FX3. I talk about videography and I talk about filmmaking. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, check out my channel, check out my videos. And as always, guys, peace out.